Hey there everybody, today I want to talk about room microphones on drums because that is so much fun. So if you're not using room microphones yet when you're recording drums, you should start doing that now because they will give you the character and spice that your drums need, and they will make your drums sound special. I believe you don't even need a huge room. A normal, let's say, classroom-sized room is enough. Just make sure it's empty. You know, people like Two Madsen use the swimming pool to record drums. What you want is reflections. You want something going on so the drums don't sound boring. Find a room, make sure it's empty, start throwing mics into that room, start finding out where they sound cool, and start adding character to your drums. I have just done a very cool drum session with LACRIMAS PROFUNDERE for their next album. They sound like this.
I did not understand. I never really cared. The love you gave me was I didn't want to.
And here you can see their drummer Dominic playing our groove of the day. I actually set up two stereo pairs of room mics. I want to show you how you can treat them. The kick is MIDI, by the way, so it's not important for this example. The rest is untouched, just the raw signals. Overheads, two snare mics, three toms, and right now our room mics are bypassed. So let's start with this one. This is my distant pair of room mics. This is where I put it, as far away from the drums as possible. And what I want is a rather washy sound that make the drums sound distant, because I want to compress it, I want to distort it and add character. It's not about sounding nice, and I know that my room gets more and more washy the higher you get with the microphone, so I use that effect to get an over-the-top lo-fi room effect. Let me show you how I do this. So you see, it sounds quite distant. There's not a lot of low-end information because it's quite far away. And it already has a little lo-fi touch, if you ask me. So what we want is compression. We want compression, total compression. There are 3 or 4 different extreme compressors that I use for this. Today I want to use Devil Lock Deluxe from Sound Toys. Let's see what we can do. I will use some compression, a little distortion, slightly darken it, and bring back the original. I should have tuned the tom, that floor tom, you can hear it now. Yeah, that could be enough. So let's mute that microphone once again and mix it in. And immediately you get that over-the-top, super compressed room sound. Right now we are just hearing toms. Let me just play another riff or another beat for you with cymbals. Okay, so here the cymbals are a little annoying, so let's add an EQ, remove some low end, and also try removing some high end. You need less high end on room tracks than you might expect, because if you cut the highs like I do now, it reduces the cymbals, but the shells don't change that much. This is better. Let's hear it in the mix again. Very nice. Little lo-fi, a little vintage in a way. I like it. But let's do something else, because I have another pair here. This one. You can see it here. It's a lot closer to the drums, and it's in a Bloomline setup. Those are ribbon mics, Rode ribbon mics. Let's have a listen how this sounds. You can hear that there's a lot more low-end information because those mics are a lot closer. They're also in the part of my room where there's more diffusion, and that kind of helps to spread the lows. And finally, those mics sound massive and huge. So let's use that. With these microphones, I don't want to try to make them sound washy and distant and over-the-top compressed. I want the opposite. I want them to support my shells and give the shells more weight, more body, more bass. Let's do that. I'm gonna use FabFilter Pro MB. This one here. This is a dynamic EQ. And what I want is I want to push the bass frequencies, like the fundamentals of the toms and of the snare. That's what I want. But I want to do it dynamically. So each time the drummer hits the toms or the snares, I want Pro MB to boost that range. Let's see if that works. So, talking about this range, we have to go to expand because we want to boost it. Attack, release, fast, ratio, full power, expand. So now, each time the level exceeds the threshold, it should boost this frequency. Let's go for a healthy 10 dB. Good. Let's fine-tune this with another beat. So it's only reacting to the snare and the toms. Very nice. Now let's get rid of some high end one more time. And we can simply add another band here. And we don't need this to be dynamic, just a normal EQ band. And just solo it and see how much we can take out. This way we can remove the highs. So this plugin supports the character that is already there, you know, and I want this to sound like a early reflection reverb that pushes the lows. All right, let's mix this one in, turn off the other room mics. And you can see this also sounds great, but it's a totally different effect done with room mics again. This adds body, and the other one, let's unmute the other one, adds spice. I think I want these ones to be a little more stereo. Let's add a stereo enhancer. here you can see it a lot more washy. But a really dramatic effect. And the other track is only pushing the snare, making it sound more natural and bigger. Almost like a short early reflection reverb with a lot of bass. All right, let's check out both room mics together, and I will bypass them so you can see what we have achieved. All right, you see, it's fun to play around with room mics, right? Find a cool room, doesn't need to be a professional room. Find a few cool mics. For the first one, for the distant version, you can use 257s, you can use some cheap mics, dynamics or some cheap condensers. Just make sure they don't sound too bright. You don't want bright microphones there. And for that closed thing, I prefer ribbons, but you should also find mics that have like an extended or a nice natural low end. It's fun to work with this. It's fun to automate this for different parts of the song. And yeah, this way you can come up with your own drum sound instead of just relying on samples and other people's work. So I hope this was inspiring to you. Start working with room mics. It's fun. See you in hell, motherfuckers. Bye-bye.